All right, good morning again for everyone. We are starting our class today. And today is our week number 10 or the 10th week, which means that we are starting to work with unit number 3. We left unit number 2 already and we start working with unit number 3, which is about the rules and expectations for common communication. Common communication, which could be either verbally or could be written communication, but the common ways, we're not going to go like very formal, but we're going to talk about every type of conversation. And then we have to talk about rules and expectations. So today we're going to start with the first part, which is about the rules of it. And you're going to have a very special homework today, which it's definitely fine, but it will be up to you to understand if it is easy or not. Don't worry that much about it. I'm going to be explaining to you on what the homework is going to be about, of course. Yeah. I stopped projecting any background because it was getting blurred part of my body. And that's because I'm wearing a shirt with patterns. And then it's kind of hard for the software from Zoom to keep understanding where I am and where is the background. So you're gonna see today my little office, my cubicle. All right then, so going back to unit number 3, as usual, I do have a set of slides or a visual aid, which is a PowerPoint file. I built this one so we can have some help from the visual aids and proceed from there to define everything for this class. So I'm going to start sharing. You should be able to start seeing my visual aid. It says to me that my participants can now see my application, which means that you're able to see me and my PowerPoint file. And like I said, this is part of unit number 3. This is actually the point from the program, for the class program. This is 3.1, which is conversation rules. So we're going to hear about the basic rules for conversation today. And so on. Through the unit, we are going to talk about basic rules, but also the expectations of conversation, realistic expectations, effective oral presentations. So with that point, which is point 3.3 from the program, from the class program, from the syllabus, on that point, yes, you are going to orally present something. But you're going to be preparing for that, of course. Very short oral presentations, but you are going to be presenting. Make sure to remember this because you're going to get prepared for this. Yes, to present something in English and on this class. But not today and not for next week. It will be for the 3rd week at the middle of the unit. So just wait for it. Next week, we'll talk about it and I'll give you the topics and then you're good to go to get ready. But again, not today. Today, you are going to have a very different special homework. And I keep on saying that. It's going to be special and it's going to lead you to practice English with somebody else, not from your group of classmates or friends, but another type of communication. What can that be about? You should be asking yourself now, but still, I'm not explaining yet, not just yet. So let's go and start with our class today, which is, like I said, conversation rules. So let's see what this is about. And you're going to be saying like, hey, professor, you're using an image with beer? Yeah, why not? I precisely shows this image when people is cheering. sharing with their peers, because this is some environment that you guys at your age, and also me, that we tend to have conversations in a more simple or a simpler way, and in a gathering with other people, and it's a relaxed way to start sharing information, but like I said, relaxed. So when we talk about this, about conversing, let's see from where does it come. So a little bit of history. The Greeks drank wine at their symposia. And you're like, really? At formal meetings? Really formal meetings? And the Greeks used to drink that? Why not? It's part of a culture. The British, they drink coffee. And the French, wine. Our conversational aids have been essentially drugs. But now we know that we have other aids, not just drugs. I'm just laughing because if you have felt this, I don't know, but maybe, and maybe I'm guessing, it might be someone from you in the group that has never drank anything with alcohol or with something else. But if you have felt what happens when you are in a gathering with a lot of people and then you drink a little bit, it is a drug. So at some point you start speaking, and if you're speaking the second language, which is English, you are afraid of speaking when you are in your normal formal way because you feel the anxiety. We talked about anxiety before, if you can remember that. But under the influence of alcohol, there becomes a new story. It flows. Your words from the English language flow like naturally. And it's funny because that should happen when you are good, when you're not under the influence of anything. So, but here's the thing. We have other aids. You are not supposed to be drinking or any alcohol or using any type of drugs to be able to speak fluently or to just speak, to start a conversation or to answer back to someone that is having a dialogue with you. So letters, it's another type of aid. Letters give conversation permanent, but also allows it to be asynchronous. One way, then you can have a structure, then it can come back. When you write a letter, either just by hand, you can type it. Another type will be the telephone. Yes, you can just hold your phone, either you write a message, and that's part of the conversation. You can use it to phone or to call someone, but that gives you a synchronous conversation again. But it made the distance less relevant. Meaning we can get closer to people thanks to the use of this technology. The modern made conversation interactive, but destroyed the privacy. So with this, is just letting us know that even though we have several different channels for communication, still, we need to be careful all of the time because our privacy. And today we're going to talk about some types of conversations, especially when you're using technology. Why? Because we're doing it right now. This is one of the ways. This is a perfect example. We are communicating right now through technology. We are having a video conference right now, but still we are communicating. So here's the thing. We need to remember that there are aids, things that can help us, tools that can help us to relay the message or to keep a conversation with another person or more people. But just as a reminder, we need to also remember that we don't necessarily need this type of help to be able to communicate. It's just there, okay? But we should be able to communicate on our normal and healthy way. This information came from Adam Timward, A Brief History of Conversation, and we can learn from it. So I added the webpage over there, and every time, remember that I use all of the sources, and I will give it to you so you can go and search for more information afterwards. So with this introduction, like I said before, our 3.1 part of this course, of the syllabus or of the program for the class, we have to talk about the basic rules for conversation. And I decided to include here some rules that are for conversation, but also these English fluency rules. Why? Because this is where we should put more attention. You already know a lot of vocabulary, hundreds of words, but you need to learn on how to use them fluently, how to speak faster, but correctly, or at least the most correct way, or the most possible correct way, so that the other person or the other people who is listening to you and also part of your conversation can understand and keep a synchronous conversation. So let's go and see what the rules are about. So these are called, and this is from Thorpe Baker Josephine from an article that she published, which is called The Art of Conversation. And it's been published for hundreds of years. Why does it still is good? Because she wrote it very nice. And we still use it after hundreds of years. We just adapt them to the modern days, of course. But they're golden rules that describe how a conversation should go. Okay? 12 golden rules. Number one, avoid unnecessary detail. Don't sidetrack. What does that mean? Whenever you have a conversation, go to the point. Don't keep on going. This is what we usually call it to somebody in Spanish, someone that talks too much, but never goes to the point. And then it becomes part of a confusion between the conversation. And then there's also the people that talks like that way. And then we say, oh, that person has a lot of verb, a lot of verbosity. This is the correct way to say it, a verbosity, which in Spanish means tiene mucho verbo. And then you're like, then you're like, if you're the person who is listening, the receiver of the information, then you become tired, sad, annoyed, and confused because there's a lot of sidetracks going on, a lot of rounded motion with the words, but not getting to the point. So rule number one, write them down in your notebook. You need to remember this. Avoid unnecessary details. Don't sidetrack. For example, if the time something happened, isn't it important? Don't waste time getting it right. Did you understand? No? because there's a problem over there. It started sidetracking. So it should just have said, don't waste time getting it right. That's it. So let's see, rule number 2 from the golden rules. Don't ask another question before the first one has been answered. I've been part of that. I'm guilty of that. Sorry, but I have done it before. I keep on asking and talking, speaking, and then the other person who is supposed to answer you is like getting confused because you're stopping the other person from speaking. This is why it's a rule. Don't ask another question before the first one has been answered. Golden rule, number 2. If you ask, this is an example, if you ask how someone's children are, don't jump in with your family help before she or he has answered. This is very common. It's a big mistake, but this is very common. Whenever you are in a conversation, or I don't know if you have seen this in a conversation, but you can check it when you are just listening to some other people and then they break this rule. Here, this example, both people have children and then one is asking to the other person about their health. But before this other person answers back, this person is already saying, oh, mine are doing really good, but hey, there's an aunt of mine that is currently in the hospital. But yeah, and so on and so on, and my children are very good. And then this other person is like, oh, okay, I was gonna tell you that mine are good, but maybe not. So you automatically change the mood. And this is why it's the golden rule. If you're asking something, wait. This is a basic, super basic rule, and this is for any language. It's not just about English. It's for any language. It's about respect, respecting the other person. You have to be good of speaking, but you have to be good at listening. There is a skill for listening, and especially us, but you as industrial engineers, one of the basic skills that you are supposed to have, it's about being a leader. And a good leader has some basic skills, and one of them is effective communication. But effective communication also adds the skill of being a good listener, not just a good speaker. Effective communication goes both ways. And to be a good leader, professionally speaking, for all of you, to be a good leader, you need to be a good listener. As simple as that. Number 3 from the golden rules, do not interrupt while he or she, the other person, is speaking. Do not interrupt. This is a basic, and it goes kind of like together with rule number 2. Do not interrupt when the other person is speaking. My goodness, I'm guilty again. It happens to me, and all of the time when I notice that I'm interrupting someone, I'm like, oh, shut up, stop, because I can see it from the other person that the other person was still wanted to keep talking. And then I go, oh, but I'm like, hold on, wait, hold your horses. You need to wait for your turn. You spoke, then the other person speaks, and then you speak after the other person, but don't interrupt. Also, it says here, try to make your story short, giving the other person the chance to speak and not interrupt. So it's the same thing. You have to respect the time of the other person, but the other person needs to respect your time. Then, in that sense, That's why you keep it short every time that you speak. Otherwise, you are colonizing the whole conversation. You are becoming a monopoly for it if you just speak and the other people or the other person doesn't. Very clear, isn't it? Rule number 4, do not contradict, especially if it is not important. Here it is, that there is a thing. For all of us, I don't know, but there's a tendency for for people who study these STEM courses or majors, I mean, to have a career in STEM, which is science and technology, education. So in terms of that, I don't know, but at some point after we read so much, we do a lot of experiments, we investigate a lot. So we have the tendency to think that we know a lot. And then if we hear something, then we have the tendency to keep going that way. Like, I want to object. I want to contradict that. Oh, I know this from the fact of, it's like, if there is no purpose for that, just wait. Shh. You are inserting unnecessary details into the present story. The person who contradicts frequently restates the matter in another way. So even if you believe that you are right, don't do it. Unless there's something like not just a simple or regular conversation. Maybe it's a more technical conversation that you need to discuss it. But on a normal conversation, don't do this. Don't contradict. Listen to the other person. And maybe you can give your point of view, but contradicting is accepted by the other person or the other people in the wrong way. So you can set the mood the wrong way. You started with good mood, everybody happy, but then you start contradicting, then the mood from the people in the conversation can change to, again, being annoyed, being mad or sad. You don't want that to happen. Remember something that is also part of the rule. Well, I'm going to call it a rule, but something about the engineer and especially the industrial engineers. Good communication is important. If you are going to be the leaders in any industry that you're going to be working at, if you're going to be the leaders, you need to be a good listener. You need to be a good speaker. And you need to stop contradicting. Like I said, unless you are discussing something very technical, but still, you need to wait for your turn. Don't stop people when they are, I mean, this is part of like interrupting, but also not just interrupting, contradicting. Number 5 of the 12 golden rules, do not do all the talking. Do not do all the talking. It's so annoying. If you have like here, like the image, if you have 4 people who are supposed to be having a conversation, but only one is dominating the time and he's speaking all of the time. He's been speaking for half an hour and the other 3 are there. Guess what's going to happen? The conversation breaks down. It breaks. The other 3 end up not paying attention anymore because they're not even invited. There's not a conversation in any way. Do not do all the talking. Ask questions. That's the key. That's the key to avoid doing all of the talking. You can ask questions to find out about the other people. If there is new people that you don't know, especially, you want to introduce yourself, but you also want to ask about the other people. And like we said, especially if you become friends, everyone has things in common. That's why everyone can share. And it's the right to share. So like I said, don't do a monopoly. Or don't do just you. You have to consider the other people. And like I said, there's a key to it. Ask questions. And wait for the answer. Because it's not just about answering questions. Asking the questions yourself and then answer the question yourself again. There's not a conversation anymore. Number 6 of the golden rule. Don't always be the hero. That's why I decided to use these images. I hope you recognize the images that I put on here. Don't always be the hero of your story. However, the story should have a hero. And you're like, what? Yeah. When you are conversing, pay attention to someone, pay attention to the other person. Make them feel better with your words, with what you're saying to them. That's what it's referring to. Don't always go in talking about, oh, it's because myself. Oh, yes, me, myself, and I. In terms of law, in terms of saying, oh, the important one here is me. I'm the one who knows everything. I can tell you everything about this topic. I can tell you a lot about this other topic. And so I am the center of the universe and of course of this conversation. Totally wrong. Big mistake. So it's not, it shouldn't be, oh, I made a mistake over here. It shouldn't be, I mean, meaning like, oh, this is wrong. Me, myself, and I. No. I should let the other people or the other person, if it's just one person that has a conversation with me, I should let the other ones shine also. That's why it refers, this is a golden rule. Praise the other people. Praise them too. Tell them, oh, wow, it was impressive. This is good to know. Thank you for this information. Wow, that what you're referring to, I read about it, but you gave me some more. And so that changes to a positive way, and the other person feels good too. And you're also going to feel good. So, like it says in here, rule number 6, don't always be the hero of your story. But however, the story, the part of the conversation should have a hero, and sometimes it could be you, but most of the time you should praise the other people around when you have a conversation, of course. Number 7 of the golden rules, choose a subject of mutual interest. You want to have a conversation? It might not be your best friend, that person or people around you. Might not be your best friends, might not be, let's just say your friend. But still, you have to talk. You have to talk to each other. The example that I choose to show over here with this picture is some gatherings, some professional gatherings. It could be a seminar that is a professional seminar that is happening at another city, and there will be representatives from different companies. So they choose you. So you go there, you took your airplane, then you go to another city, and then you don't know anyone. You're supposed to be a person. You're human. Humans, we were made to be part of a society. We were meant for that. So it's sort of normal to have conversations. So you need to start going, if you want to start a conversation, you need to start going with mutual interest. If it's a seminar, I don't know, let's just say that there is a seminar about logistics. And you were sent over there. So you already know that all of them over there, they know about logistics because the seminar is about that. Then you can just choose a topic that is general for everyone. And from there, from that general part of logistics, you can go down and keep finding some other, and keep finding some other topics. And you're going to find out that there's a lot of people with common interests close to you, or you're going to start making more friends. And one thing that is really super important in a professional life, it's what is called networking. And this networking is built through conversation. This networking is about meeting new people, from the same field as you. From the same field. Which means professionals. And this is so important in the professional life. For your career as an industrial engineer, you need to do networking. Whenever you go out, or you can call some people that you don't know, that you haven't met. These people, they are not even your acquaintances. So you need to make contact with them and start your network. So this network is actually about work, related to work. But once you start building your network, there's a lot of people who can help you anytime. And this is built through conversation. That's what you need to look for. Common interests, make questions, ask the other people some questions. About the common interest, that's the easiest way to go. Draw the person interest out and don't hinge the conversation on politics. Remember that politics, it's always a sensitive topic. So you want to avoid this one before you know the person really, because you don't want to start a discussion that could end up being a problem. You need to first get to know the other person and see if you are capable of talking even about politics. That's about friends. But before that, be careful about that. Okay? And like the example here is like, okay, don't talk about something very different when we're talking about potatoes or poetry. Totally different than politics. I mean, come on, don't make it complicated. Rule number 8. I keep on saying this on the first few golden rules, but you need to be a good listener. You will naturally become one if you follow the rules number 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, which is about like, don't be the dominating person. Don't be the person who is in the center. Listen to the other one. Don't interrupt. Those rules that we already mentioned. When you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. If you listen, you may learn something new. This is a very good saying that comes from the Dalai Lama. Just listen to the other people. The conversation rule number 9. The conversation should be in harmony with the surroundings. Do not talk about she's when the moon will be a more fitting topic. And of course, if you want to keep the conversation. And if the conversation is about, let me take the example that I took before. If the conversation is about logistics, you don't have to talk about food. That's what he's saying here. If you're supposed to be talking about logistics, well, then keep talking about logistics. That's what it means, that it should be in harmony with the surroundings. And this one, I liked it a lot. Number 10, do not exaggerate. Do not exaggerate. Let's see about this. This guy over here says, I am the greatest bird ever. And you're like, yeah, you're one bird that looks so nice and cute and even handsome. But saying that you are even a bird, you don't even fly to start with. And if you compare with different birds, like for example, eagles, they do have a supervision of kilometers. And if you talk about falcons, the falcons, they do have more than 200 kilometers per hour of speed. They can reach about that speed. And then you're like, well, stop it. No one likes to have a conversation with someone that has the tendency to exaggerate. Because you need to keep it cool. You need to keep it normal. Not everything is the best or the worst or the funniest. Just keep it normal. Simple, right? Number 11, do not misquote. Use the quotation for the occasion. Do not make the occasion for the quotation. What does it mean? Okay. When you're talking about something, you need to make sure to stress. Remember that we talk about the stress of the words and that we're supposed to stress the words that are important in the sentence. The verb, the noun, to change the stress, and that makes or give them more importance. So it is the same when we're having a conversation about a topic. To say or to refer that we are quoting something is that we are making some time and we are either even stressing that topic, putting more effort in to mention it, but it should be about what the topic is or the generality from the conversation. You shouldn't do it for something else, because then the understanding, the whole understanding of the idea could be lost. But you don't want to lose the ideas or the main idea. So that's what it's telling us. Do not misquote. Cultivate tact. Cultivate tact. This is something that everybody needs. And like I was telling before, these golden rules are not just for English. These rules are for any language. When you have a conversation. And this one is especially important. This is the last one for the golden rules. Remember that we have another 10. But for the golden rules, cultivate tact, el tacto. Use your values. Be respectful. Be honest. And some way that it's even said, be politically correct. And being politically correct is not something that is wrong. It's a way to speak when you don't want to offend or to make the other person feel wrong from what you're saying. And with that tact, it's about do not being untruthful, but also don't feel the need to be hurtful. Don't try to hurt other person or the other people. Do not say something that looks unwell or sick or tired. This will do nothing to further conversation and only make the person uncomfortable. Do not hint at it either by asking if she or he had a long night. You need to remember silence is an option. If you're going to talk or to say something that is right, you might be okay to speak. But if you're going to speak to do something wrong, to hurt the other person, just stay quiet. That's what refers to tact. And I chose these type of images to mention this about the tact. Several times when we speak, and especially you, the young people, the younger people, speak a lot of bad words in between a conversation. And you need to be careful about that because that's not tact. So you need to think before you speak. And you need to not mention these type of things. Oops, I stopped sharing it. I'm going back. Right? And like I said before, if you're not going to add something good to the conversation, just don't say anything. Sometimes it's just better to stay quiet. All right. So those are the 12 golden rules, but we're going to cover some fluency rules. And let's see what the fluency rules are about. So number one, this about fluency. Fluency is about hablar con fluidez. Hablar de cierto modo rápido, pero correcto. To speak in a fluent way, but correctly. But this is a habit. There is a skill for reading, writing, listening, and speaking. These things are more than habits formed over time. It happens with time. You were not born like this. You were not born speaking. You were born feeling the needs, the necessities. When you were a baby, you felt the needs to drink something. You felt yourself that you needed something different, and that was food. And you learned to communicate through movements, through some sounds when you will cry, but that was it. But to be able to be fluent in a language, it's a habit. You need to cultivate this. The problem is that most learners develop habits that stop them from becoming strong communicators. One such habit is listening to a natural sounding dialogue on the English language, learning TV and radio programs. You need to be careful about what you're watching and from where you are learning or cultivating your brain so that your brain can act and work when you're speaking. Another is studying list of vocabulary words. Just a list of words. Like I said at the beginning of this class, you already know hundreds of different words, but you are not using them because you don't have the habit of speaking or practicing. You have been using the English language as just a subject that I need to pass in school, and then I just need to learn this and write them down, and I'm gonna pass the exam, and that's it. But you need to understand that the English language is a second language that is going to open doors for you or closed doors for you. It's up to you if you want to cultivate the language or not. Nobody can force you. But if you do understand the importance of the language, then you're going to stop regretting to learn and you're going to start learning. The good news is that you can replace the harmful habits you form with helpful ones easily. Good news. Habits can be built. I don't know if you have heard this, but there is a big saying that there's a lot of people, a lot of authors that have written this, that if you repeat things 21 times, if you repeat an action for 21 times, and actually it's more related that to days, 21 days. If you keep on doing something through 21 days, it becomes a habit. So can you learn to have better skills in the language? Can you learn to read English, to write English? Yes, if you start doing the right thing every day. At the beginning, you're going to be pushing yourself, but it's going to become something that is normal to you. So that's what it said. This is a habit. Number 2, from the fluency rules. Remember that we study 12 golden rules for general communication and now 10 rules for fluency. And this is very interesting. It's related to number 1, of course. If it is a habit, then you need to learn like natives. Necesita aprender como si fueras nativo en la lengua. The way that you learn Spanish. You didn't learn Spanish in a different language. You learned Spanish in Spanish. You were surrounded by everyone speaking Spanish. And your electronic devices were everything in Spanish. Your television, your computer, even your phone, it has been Spanish. Your family speaking to you in Spanish. The books that you were reading in school in Spanish. So eventually you learn to speak fluently in Spanish. So that means that you need to apply the same thing that you did in Spanish to English. You're never gonna learn if you keep trying to learn English in Spanish or in a different language. You're going to learn when you start learning it just in the same language. Most students learn English through their native language, and that's what I was saying. It's so hard, it's super hard, very difficult. It's tough to let your brain understand the second language if you keep on trying to learn it from Spanish. No puedes aprender inglés usando español. ¿Sigues practicando español? Es lo que yo estoy haciendo en este momento. Empecé a hablar español. ¿Qué están haciendo? Dejaron de practicar el inglés. Y si me pongo a traducir todo lo que estoy explicando, siguen estudiando español. Traducción es una carrera. Se estudia años para traducir, para hacer las cosas bien traducidas. Eso es una carrera aparte. Aprender a ser fluidos en la lengua. Tienes que hacerlo en la misma lengua. No puedes hacerlo en español y quieres hacerlo, dar el resultado en inglés. No funciona. Como decía ahorita, o aprendiste español sabiendo hablar francés y te hablaban en francés y luego ya automáticamente por ósmosis llegaron a ti las ideas en inglés. Of course not. That never happens. This is why they often, like you, have to translate in their heads before speaking. And it takes a lot of time and it's stressful for your brain, for your ideas. So you're receiving the ideas in English and then you're like, she said, you are receiving your ideas. What does that mean? You, tú, are, estás, receiving, recibiendo. las ideas. Tú estás recibiendo las ideas. By the time that you translate, the conversation keeps going and your brain couldn't translate on time, then it becomes stressful, you feel anxious, and it just doesn't work. So my advice from this rule, the biggest advice is to stop translating. Stop using your English-Spanish dictionary. Just use English. Learn from the context. We talked about this before. Try to understand from the body language, the surrounding areas. Put yourself into an environment that will give you the way that you can get that fluency. Put yourself into that environment. If you're going to watch TV, watch it in English. If you're going to use your phone, your Facebook account, it could be in English. It's so easy. But you're practicing at the same time that you are going through your phone. Read something in English. Start with the basic. I mean, don't go and start trying to read something that is scientific if you don't know the language. You need to start with the basic, like little kids. That's why I chose this image. You can start with simple stories for kids. Once you start understanding, you're going to feel that you can move on to a more complicated reading. To understand native English speakers and speak automatically, start by consuming native English content that's appropriate for your ability level. If you don't have the advanced level, that's what I was saying. Don't go for the top reading, for the harder literature. Go first for the simple one. This could be something as basic as a book or a TV program for children. You can just go and watch a cartoon in English. Simple cartoon for little kids, like Dora. Dora is actually a very nice example. She uses a few words in Spanish, but it's only a few, but not translating. She used them just in between. And a lot of cartoons are really good just to learn. Choose something that you already understand at least 80 to 90% of, so that the new information can be absorbed by your brain easily. Review this content until you can use it in conversations without hesitation. Then, as your understanding and confidence grow, move on to a more challenging material. That should be the rule for you. Some of you have already asked me before, and you have told me before, hey, professor, I didn't understand everything but some of the words. And I answer back to you, hey, that's how it is. You keep on doing it, and eventually you're going to understand even more. But to be able to get the eventually part, you need to set yourself into that type of environment that you need to practice. That's why you need to go back as if you were a children. You need to set yourself into something that the 80 to 90% of what you're reading or listening or watching, that you can understand that amount of the conversation, of what they're saying, of what they are explaining. Number 3, divide and conquer. Here's a simple formula for rapid fluency. You want to go fast? Follow this. Divide the native English content you want to learn into easy to understand pieces. These could be things like the vocabulary words or grammar points found in a song. A song? Is it good to listen to a song and then you can learn? Of course. There's a lot of the language in a song, but if we're talking about fluency, don't go for rap or hip hop. You're not going to learn anything. That's for very advanced level. And even with advanced level, there's a lot of misspelled words that you need to know about a lot about the culture to be able to understand. So if you are trying to practice with hip hop or rap, no, don't go there. Songs, you can use some good pop, country, R&B, those type of music and genres. Those are going to be helpful for you, especially in country music. Most of the country songs from the country genre music, they're easy, very easy, well understood, very easy to hear, to listen. Select the most important 20% of information to focus on. That will give you 80% of your results. There may be 10 new words you could learn in a particular song, but 2 of them will appear in conversations far more often than the other 8. That's why it's referred 20-80. And then you keep learning. There's more vocabulary, but you're learning how it's written, how the song is written. Go through the lyrics of the song. And then you can practice singing the song. And that will help you on your speaking ability. Since we're talking about fluency. Order the pieces of information you have selected from basic to complex and begin learning. It's up to you. You decide. Number 4, culture. Culture is essential. How many of you knows this person that I chose for this picture? I know. Well, I've seen his program on television. Do you know who he is?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Ray. Who's this guy?
He is a chef or bakery.
Yes, he's a baker, right?
His body.
Buddy. Do you remember his last name?
Oh no, I forgot that.
Buddy Balastro. How do you know him? Where have you seen him?
Because I used to watch his TV shows.
Because
and
he had
Discovery
a
Home and
TV
Health.
show. Exactly. I've watched his show a lot too, for a few years actually. It was a very good show. And it shows you more about the culture. He is a very special mixed because he comes from an Italian family, but his family is mixed into a mixed of different cultures in New Jersey, the United States, at the northeast part of the United States. And New Jersey is one of those areas where there's a lot of influence from different cultures, from the Italians, but also from the Latino community. And a little bit close to them is the city of New York. And on the city of New York, there's a lot of influence, not just from Italian and Latino community. There's also the Asian community. So, but with those different cultures, they become a new culture, which is actually the culture that exists in certain regions. And now we're talking about the United States of America, the country, but every region has different culture. And here's the thing, language, it's part of the culture. Language is more than nouns, verbs, and adjectives. It's about the culture. So to learn a language, you need to learn about the culture. And this is why I chose Buddy Balastro here from Carlos Bakery, from the TV show from Discovery Home and Health. Because if you understand that baking is important in certain areas or in certain cities, if you understand that pizza is not just eaten in Italy, but it's also eaten in everywhere around the world, but certain styles are based in some cities, now you start understanding a little more. You need to understand talking about food, that there are certain food dishes that are for certain regions. For example, here in Sonora, part of part of our culture and from our region will be the machaca. And that tells a lot about our culture, which is what? That is just dry beef that is being mashed or crushed, and then we made some different dishes from it. But it's part of what describes ourselves, and it has a lot of vocabulary in between. So food is one thing for the culture, but also what does describe a culture? A culture is described by food, by the language, by religions, by political observancy, and so on. And if you can understand all of those aspects, the one for the language is going to be covered. You're going to have more vocabulary, more customs from the region, and eventually, like without even noticing, you will be fluent. If you do not also understand a community myths, pop culture references, stories, and jokes, you will miss much of what's being said. So if you're watching this type of show with no subtitles, just English language, and if you don't know about the culture that they are immersed in, you may not understand what they are saying in the show. That's why you need to learn about, for example, here from Carlos Bakery, they talk a lot about their family. There is his sisters work at the same bakery. His brother-in-laws work at the bakery. A few of his niece and nephews work at the bakery. So it's a big family business. Then if you do understand the context of it, then you understand the TV program, the TV show. But if you don't understand the context of it, when they are talking about each other families, you're like, what are they talking? Weren't they supposed to be baking big and nice cakes? But it's not just about cakes. That show from Carlos Bakery was about cakes, but was also about the life of the family, of the Velasco family. That's why this is about researching, investigating. This is about learning about the culture. This is about being curious, just being curious. Double the speed at which you get fluent by learning language with culture. Master the grammar through cooking shows. This is a really good one, but do it in English, of course. If you're gonna watch it in Spanish, what's the point of it? You already know how to speak Spanish, so don't do it in Spanish. Build your vocabulary while fixing cars. You're going to fix your car, or you're just watching what's going on? Well, try the vocabulary in English. Improve your pronunciation as you enjoy plays, musicals, operas. Well, I know that in the region that we live, it's hard to go to a play, una obra, that's a play. And it's related to musicals and operas, but that really seriously, you can learn a lot when you go and watch one of those. But then you're gonna tell me, but there's nothing here, even in Sonora. There might be later on when we move forward from this pandemic, from COVID-19, there might be something. And if you have the opportunity to go to the United States or to England or another country that speaks English, try to go to those. It's not just about going on the street and taking pictures. It's about getting to know more about the culture and, of course, getting fluent in the English language. Number 5, study words together. Phrases and not words are the real units of fluency. One word, 2 words without the connectors in between is not a phrase. Then it won't give you the fluency. When you learn phrases, you discover how ideas connect and the sounds of words blend. This trains you to understand the fast speech of native English speakers, and helps you to improve your pronunciation. Groups of words also form stories that are easier for you to visualize and remember. Yes? Study the words together. And here's another one, good one. Number 6, use video. Watch videos in English. There's YouTube. I don't know, if you're going to follow someone that is an influencer, follow someone that speaks in English. I mean, if you're going to use a lot of time on the internet, just spending or chilling time, at least do something that is going to help you build or get more knowledge of the language. Even through videos, you require far more time and energy to produce than text or audio lessons. The videos are created because they help us learn more effectively. Studies show that words by themselves only communicate 7% of what we want to express. 38% of the meaning expressed in a normal conversation comes from pitch and intonation. The visual language is what's more important. That's why videos help us understand and learn a lot, because the visual language cues of a language add another 55%. A lot. All of what's going on in a video, a movie. Videos give you the total picture of a language words, sounds, and actions. They also significantly increase your ability to remember what you study. There's a lot of information to the internet. Go and look for something that is useful. Don't just lose your time. I mean, I know, and it's okay to just go around and watching things that jokes or whatever when you're going through TikTok, for example. But go and look for those that are going to be helpful through your life. Don't lose all of your day in something that is not good. Limit the scope, number 7. Millions of English learners know lots of words and expressions, but can't use them competently in conversation. This is often a consequence of studying too much and mastering too little. When you study too much grammar, but if you don't practice, it doesn't matter. You do have the knowledge, but you can't apply it. Fluency is measured by what you can use, not what you know. So why not learn to use a few things really well and build upon the foundation? Just go and use what you know. Use the knowledge that you have. Connect. This comes from the rules that we studied before, and then we go to number 8, connect. Fluency is cultivated in the real world. The real world that can also use these things. You can also use technology to, because that's what's going on right now in these days. But you need to connect to native speakers and start practicing to find them, and they are everywhere. Native speakers are all around the world. In Mexico, there is a lot of native English speakers. Even here in our region, there must be some people, not just 1 or 2. There must be more than a few people that do speak English as their native language. So connect with them. Forget about the English and look for online forums, groups and communities of native English speakers who share your interests. Focus on the activities you enjoy, and you will create lasting friendships with native speakers naturally. And guess what? This is about the homework, the fun homework that I talked before even starting. Guess what? Your homework for this week, you're going to go and find a forum from people who speaks or who talks in English. Well, the forums are written. you're going to go online and you're going to go and look here and there, and you're going to find a forum where people is speaking in English. And you're going to be a person who's going to speak in that forum, because your homework will be to prove. You're going to add the evidence of you being part of the forum.
Is it whatever forum?
With whichever forum, wherever you find it.
Okay.
Is the forum about school? Well, that's fine, as long as it is in English and there's more people interacting. Is the forum about children? It doesn't matter, as long as you start interacting with other people with the English language, not with these people in this group. This is the first prohibition. It's prohibited to go and create a forum for these people. No. For that, we have the Canvas platform, and we have been discussing in forums, but this is not the homework for today. So you're gonna go and find a forum and then gonna write something, and hopefully the other people will answer back, and then you can show the proof, a screenshot, and that's what you're going to send as a homework. You can do this, it will even be valid if you go to Instagram and you talk in English to some people that are native speakers, and if you have someone answering back, I will accept something from the social media. You could probably do it in Facebook too, I don't know. Like me, I am part of some groups in Facebook, and sometimes people post something, and then we, as a group, we just tend to follow a conversation in there, and there's people answering back to me, and then I answer back to them, and so on. That's how conversation happens. And so we become friends, acquaintances, of course, because I've never seen them, but it's part of the language. I see it as an opportunity to keep connecting. And like I'm saying, I can accept that, but as long as you have an answer back, if you're going to use the social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so
I have
on.
a question, teacher.
Yes, go on.
Like, for example, I'm an English teacher here at a school in Acosari, and I give virtual classes to kids. Could giving like my class count because we have a conversation in English? Could it count?
No, it can't. It has to be some different community from what you are already exposed. It should be something more, because take a look at this rule. It's about connecting, so it's about getting a new connection. So it should be better for a new connection. But it shouldn't be hard. Just go around the internet and try to connect with someone. Okay. So we're about to finish. And if you have more questions, just send me a message through WhatsApp. Stretch yourself. This is about hearing some questions in conversation and just try to be part of them. Every time you're asked what you do or where you're from, reveal a little bit more about yourself. Don't just answer the same things, because then you are not using more words. So you need to use more of your vocabulary. For example, are you from New York or the Upper East Side of New York? Do you raise sailboats or fractional rig slope sailboats? Don't be too specific every time that you are answering the same. Try to change it. And number 10, and last one, keep building. Persistence is the one trait shared by all students who get fluent. You need to keep being persistent. Keep moving towards your goals, even if you only have 5 minutes a day, and you will surely find success. At least dedicate some little time of your day to be persistent on this, and you're going to end up being fluent. So I have to stop over here. I already talked about the homework. I'm going to activate the homework. So you are going to have just a full week to complete this homework. We'll talk about some other things next week when we see each other next week. We need to stop the class today. Go ahead through the chat session and write anything about related to these rules so we can account your assistance, your attendance, not assistance, your attendance. And we will go and move forward to the forum with our rector because we have an appointment with him, right? Remember to go through Facebook and click on the link for the Zoom session for the forum. If you already completed the task for the attendance, like Ana Karen, I saw that Ana Karen wrote Fluency. You're good to go, Ana Karen. Bye. We'll see you later.
Bye, Professor. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye. Luis Roman, good. Do not interrupt with someone speaking. Goodbye, everyone. Culture is essential. Good, Vanessa. And Chavez and Fontes, the tact. Good. You need to cultivate tact also. Good. Goodbye, Chavez, Fontes, Luis Roman, Emma.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Emma.
Goodbye, Professor.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
Professor.
See you, teacher.
See you later. Culture is essential. Cultivate.
Teacher.
Qualitative, okay? Connect everyone with the homework. All right, let's see each other at the other session. Bye-bye.